Please help the channel out and pick up a levitating Death Star Bluetooth speaker at the affiliate link below. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel, and oh man, Evergreen College. Evergreen College at this point has become the West Coast's version of Mizzou. You know, after all the protests and all the national coverage, we're starting to see the ramifications of the administration of the college giving in to these protesters, giving in to their weak-ass demands, and allowing them full control and national embarrassment. Let's be fair here. National embarrassment. I live 4 miles away from Evergreen, and I talked to the townies about it, and they're like, they want it over. And the school year is going to start here pretty soon, and we're going to deal with this again. But it says here, Evergreen State College faces $2.1 million budget shortfall, cites enrollment drop, issues layoff notices. And this is unfortunate because my neighbors actually all work for the college in different positions, and they might be impacted by this particular action. Even though they are very much against Brett Weinstein going on Fox News, we have had some discussions about this in the past. They are definitely, I don't want to see them impacted by this. I don't want to see them having to lose their job. If they did, I have no idea. I haven't talked to them. But I'm just saying it's like this sort of thing could have been avoided had the administration stood up and said no to these protesters and not given them the space to take over, not giving them the space to hold the administration hostage, you know, I guess a hostage while they monitored you while you went to the bathroom and wouldn't let you leave, but it wasn't really a hostage thing. While they, you know, they patrolled the campus with baseball bats and told the campus police to step down. You know, it's a huge issue there. Anyway, it says here that administrators at the Evergreen State College have announced that the embattled school faces a massive $2.1 million budget shortfall due in part to a drop in enrollment, and the institution has already handed out some temporary layoff notices as officials grapple with the balancing the books. An August 28th memo to the campus community titled Enrollment and Budget Update, officials report that the fall 2017-2018 registration is down about 5%, from 3,922 students to 3,713. But the problem is nearly all of the students they lost are non-residents, who traditionally pay a much higher tuition to attend. Officials explained in the memo, a copy of which was obtained by the College Fix. And that's true. The non-residents pay more money. And so that's the thing. When you have non-residents that are coming into these colleges, they pay a higher tuition fee. That offsets a lot of the cost of the residents going there. It's one of the reasons why when I was in community college, all of the foreign students and the out-of-state students were not allowed to fail classes. I'm not even kidding you. Like, the head of a department literally told me, we're not allowed to fail these students. We're not allowed to mark them as being absent from class. We are not allowed to do anything of the sort, because then that impacts the money. And they pay, like, oh, at the time, they were paying 10 times more per unit than I was. I was paying $11 a unit. They were paying $111 a unit. So you could see where the money is. And that is why they did not want to have the situation play out like this. And you can see the similar thing is happening at Evergreen. Combined with a shortfall in funding from state coffers to shoulder a mandatory cost of living salary increase and a rise in the general cost of operations, and the school must find a way to resolve a $2.1 million shortfall for the fiscal year that began on July 1st, according to the memo. So they're 2 months out of that situation, and they're needing to recoup. You know, I would fully recommend they start having all their faculty members moonlight as Uber Eats drivers, and then hopefully find a way to make that, you know, a way to bring in the money, or pot sales. Just state college, just do it off campus. I could only imagine Evergreen, which is known as the Greeners, the people who go there around here, you know, operating a pot dispensary and then using that money to funnel back into the school. That could be a good movie. Some notices were rescinded as we try. Oh, sorry. It goes on to say here, this creates the need for significant budget cuts in the immediate future, the memo states, adding that the university late last month already handed out temporary layoff notices to 17 faculty staff members. Okay, so probably not the people that I know up the street have been hit. This is faculty staff members. I'm sure these people, I talked to them recently within the last month, and they told me nothing about that. Some notices were rescinded as we try to use scarce local dollars to keep people employed. However, if the capital budget crisis at the state level continues indefinitely, layoffs will become impossible to avoid. Well, this all could have been you could have been able to avoid it if you just would have, I don't know, to your students. But no, they had to have a place to protest. No, they had to keep this thing going on. It had to hit national fervor, national attention. because they were upset at a guy saying, hold on a second, you shouldn't be forced to leave campus because of the color of your skin. And they were like, you son of a bitch. How dare you? How dare you? And even the neighbors up the street, they were just like, they kind of like, we got into a discussion about it, and I kind of explained like where I think Weinstein was coming from. And I think we kind of had an understanding about it, but it felt like they were kind of against him. I think they were against the attention he brought to the school, which I understand. But at the same time, when the school left him no choice to actually be able to fight back and defend himself, you can kind of understand why he did what he did. I don't blame him for going on Tucker Carlson and highlighting it to that particular degree. The school was letting him get steamrolled and everything else, and they were doing nothing to stop it. And so the man had to do what he could to protect his reputation and his job and his career. And I don't blame him one bit for that. I feel we should have seen more from that out of Missouri. They're still recovering from the events of 2 years ago. And I don't think they're going to be able to get back on track for a lot longer. It goes on to say, in a college where 89% of the operating budget is in salaries and benefits, it is impossible to reduce the budget by substantial amounts without giving up positions. In anticipation of this, we will soon be announcing a hiring freeze. Yeah, makes sense. Although the memo doesn't reference it, a drop in student enrollment can likely be traced back to a national uproar caused after a rowdy group of progressive students took over the school in May and June. Yeah, oh yeah, they're not going to come out and admit it, but everyone who lives here and anyone who's followed this story for the last few months, oh, they know. Oh, they know. First, they cornered white biology professor Brett Weinstein and shouted him down over his choice not to leave campus during a day of absence, in which white students and employees were asked to stay off campus for the day. The aggressive actions against the professor forced him to hold class off campus at a nearby park. As a quick addendum to that, because this should explain it, but it doesn't. It wasn't his choice not to leave. He may not have left in that time. He issued the memo for the event, the day of absence, which was back in March. It wasn't until May when that memo got leaked out to the right group of people, and that right group of people is what protested him. My theory, and it's one that I don't have a lot of evidence for, but it's one I've been working with, is that another faculty member who is very much pro-social justice is the one who leaked that memo to that group and got them riled up. There's also been some accusations or some allegations that certain black trans members of the student body were indicated in a couple incidences involving like the campus police and a few other things of disruption, where they were also in a lot of trouble and they needed to find a way to turn it around. And this just so happened to be this. But to be fair, the day of absence was in March. He issued that memo back in March, and it wasn't until 2 months later when it suddenly surfaced and brought this entire shitstorm to his doorstep. So the way I look at that essentially is that somebody had it out for him. And if you just look at the dates, it kind of coincides with that. So yeah. Next, the students accused the university's administration of racism during a contentious meeting, during which they yelled at and belittled President George Bridges. I'm okay with that because he let them. Like, he let them. And I'm using this term unironically here. And I mean this. They let him get cucked. They literally let him just become their slave, like become their submissive. And he was like, yeah, no, it's totally fine. It's totally cool. No, you guys are just great. You're just looking to get your voice out, man. That's all. It's fine. No, I have to go to the bathroom. I can't go to the bathroom. It's okay. It's okay. I won't go to the bathroom. But then later on, he's like, oh, but I was going to go anyway. No, you weren't. You gave them whatever they wanted. They told you that even like having like, you gesturing with your hands while you talk is a microaggression. Like, that is how insane it got, and you let them get away with it. Any person of any actual kind of authoritative stance or the ability to be an authority figure on campus would have just been like, shut up. Shut the hell up. You want a spirit finger? Spirit finger. I talk and I gesture. That's it. Why are you oppressing me? Why are you gesture oppressing me right now? Throw it back on them, man. But no, of course not. Had to go and play this card. Had to go and play this angle because he thought that it would work in his benefit. It clearly has not. The college was also shut down. It goes on to say, at this meeting with some white students were told to stand to the back of the room because of the color of their skin. The progressive student protesters also issued a string of demands to combat the alleged racism on campus, most of which the university agreed to implement at an unknown fiscal cost. They were just giving them whatever they wanted at that point. They could have all asked for like rim jobs from the local Asian deli maker or whatever. And they'd be like, yeah, all right, we'll do it. Like we'd gone on Backpage.com and like, rim job Asian man, can you come and facilitate this to the campus? Thank you. Like, they would have done it at that point. The college was also shut down for multiple days in early June because of threats it received. Student vigilantes even took to patrolling campus with their bats. Later reports about the school revealed that radicalism and anarchy had been pushed at Evergreen College since at least 2008. And there were other faculty members, people who worked in the administration, that came forward to talk about the degradation of this particular mindset on campus, and how rational, logical liberals were then turned into radicalized, protesters, and you can almost argue domestic terrorists because of the hostage takeover. The fact that they were patrolling campus with bats when the campus police, which is a legitimate police force in this country, was told to stand down, even though the captain, or the chief of the campus police, is a woman who is also a former graduate of Evergreen. That is how bad George Bridges screwed the whole thing up. The emails obtained by the College Fix show that some parents pledged to keep their kids away from Evergreen in a development that's known as the Mizzou Effect, as I stated earlier. The term references a situation at the University of Missouri, which faced severe financial struggles after a student's Black Lives Matter protest in 2014 took over the campus and ruined the school's reputation, prompting a huge decline in enrollment. This is what happens when you don't maintain authority on campus, when you let the inmates run the asylum. This is what goes on. And that's the whole issue. The Mizzou Effect is real. It's documented, not just at the University of Missouri, but at other schools as well that have done this kind of nonsense. And the fact is, you have these parents that have allowed their kids to grow up getting trophies for just wiping front to back. You turned in your homework, gold star. It doesn't matter if you did your homework correctly, but you still did it. And they socialized them under that mindset of I get something for doing something, and when I don't get my way, I throw a tantrum until I do. And that's what we've seen here in regards to Evergreen and Mizzou and, oh my God, all the other freaking campuses that I've talked about over the course of the past couple of years. It is just absolutely insane. It goes on to say here, and finishing up at least, but in somewhat tone-deaf part of the August 28th memo from Evergreen, administrators state that we must continue our efforts to make Evergreen a student-ready college. Our work in equity and inclusion is an important step in this process. Yeah, sure. I'm not against, equity and inclusion, but make sure that inclusion includes everybody. That equity is equity for everybody. That's the whole point of equality. You can't sit there and be a liberal and champion equality and also just give it to one group of people over another. That's not equality. You can't sit there and have your students shout down kids that are a different skin color and they can go to the back of the classroom and try to act like progressive liberals. That's just racism. Shit that we tried to fight. Not we, I wasn't alive at the point, but people in the 1960s. Trying to end segregation, and here it is 50 years later, and students on college campuses, because of their upbringing, because of how coddled they've been and how protected and how many parents have become helicopter parents, have turned them into those who want their own segregation, and they view segregation as equality, which is the weirdest thing I've ever freaking seen. And this kind of nonsense is not going to go away until college administrators stand up and say no. Yes, you have the right to free speech. Yes, you have the right to protest. You have all the First Amendment rights that we do, but you do not have the right to shut down this college. You do not have the right to treat people with that level of disrespect while you're on this college campus, and you do not have the right to continue going forward in this manner. And the fact is, when every time a college president or administrator lets these kids get away with it, it teaches them that that's okay, that kind of mindset, that kind of behavior is okay. And it ended with students acting as their own vigilante groups and patrolling around the campus. But then, and that still boggles my damn mind. But at the same time, after Charlottesville, Antifa was lionized. So there you have it, folks. The left is just straight up dumb. Well, gang, that wraps up this video. Be sure to leave your thoughts below in the comments, as I love to read them. Also, if you guys want to support the channel, links below in the video description. We have Patreon, PayPal, Amazon affiliate in the beginning of the video, as well as Bitcoin now. During the apocalypse, anything helps. I greatly appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day. Peace out.